These are people that work for you. These are people that helped you achieve your goal. Now you're trying to put them in position to maintain theirs.
And it really comes down to that. This is a man that is universally recognized in NBA circles as being a highly, highly intelligent individual.
And so it's irresponsible because, as Stephen A. mentioned, you have so much to gain, yet so very much to lose.
The 2024 NBA regular season is well and truly underway, and we've seen big-name players turn up for their team in the most extraordinary fashion as they each aim for playoff places. However, not many have been as fun to watch as this man, Ja Morant. He's come out firing on all cylinders, and the Memphis Grizzlies, who suffered a humbling last season, have now pitched their tents high in the ninth clouds this season, thanks to his efforts. But despite enjoying this brand new version of Ja, the one thing everyone still wants to know is how the superstar has managed to turn the tide completely on its head so quickly. How come a player who struggled with injuries last season is already putting opposition teams to the sword and dazzling like it's no man's business? Well, hello, and a warm welcome back to your favorite avenue for jumps, the dunks, and everything basketball. Today, we'll be taking a little trip to Tennessee to discover the secret behind this exciting new version of Ja Morant and how it's sparking a resurgence among the Grizzlies. Oh, and you'll definitely want to stick around until the end to discover what this means for the NBA as a whole. Ready? Of course you are, so let's get this party started. Well, folks, there's no denying how brilliant the man they call G12 has been this season. But to understand just how refreshing this new version of Ja has been for the Grizzlies, we need to take a look at how they fared with the version they got last season. Indeed, for fans who followed the Memphis Grizzlies last season, there was absolutely no doubt that it was by far their poorest outing in recent history, or at least since the emergence of their very own wildcard, Ja Morant. Oh, and of course, there's no second guessing why they slumped into such an underwhelming form. You see, last season was the most uneventful we've seen of Ja since he burst into the scene, and it duly affected what the Memphis-based side could conjure on the court. Sure, when he featured, the two-time MVP was still himself, and managed to influence the game as much as he could. But then, the main issue for the Grizzlies was the fact that he was barely available for the entirety of the season.
And so it's irresponsible because, as Stephen A. mentioned, you have so much to gain, yet so very much to lose.
That has a young child and a young family to look out for. And you're throwing all of this in jeopardy for what?
These are people that work for you. These are people that helped you achieve your goal. Now you're trying to put them in position to maintain theirs.
First, he missed nearly 2 months of action due to a 25-game ban following that embarrassing trail of off-court controversies, and only returned late in December. Then, he only managed a handful of games before a right shoulder injury forced him to draw the curtain on his season altogether. Of course, the likes of Jaren Jackson, Santi Aldama, and Xavier Tillman all showed glimpses of brilliance throughout the season. But you gotta admit, they never stood a chance without their star man. And it was so obvious. A 27-55 record whispered tales of mediocrity, but even that did not tell the whole story. The team was utterly disoriented, to say the least, and could only manage a mere 13th place finish in the Western Conference. Now, you just gotta wonder how good the lad could have been for his absence to cause such catastrophic decline in quality, right? Well, before we get into that, kindly take a second to leave a like and subscribe to this channel to help us grow. This will make a huge difference to us, and in doing so, we can continue creating more new and exciting content for you guys. Done that? Great! Now, how good is Ja Morant? Well, for starters, if there's one truth you ought to know, then it should be the fact that there aren't many point guards right now as talented as Jamal Demetrius Morant, and that's on period. I mean, this is a superstar who has blessed us with levels of total brilliance since his emergence on the scene. And just when we think we've seen it all, he slaps us with a brand new version that eclipses the last. Right from the get-go, right from when he was selected as a second overall pick in that 2019 draft, this lad has been pure class. Heck, he was already a sensation right from his days with the Murray State Racers. But that has been rendered almost insignificant by his insane NBA career so far. You see, his rookie season was one for the ages. The then 20-year-old point guard took the entire league by storm, putting up an astounding 17.8 points, 4 rebounds, and 7.3 assists per game to snatch home the Rookie of the Year award. His second season was even better, as the prodigy started to marinate in the ways of elite b-balling. Oh, and you bet it reflected in the stats, as his 19.1 points, 4.0 rebounds, and 7.4 assists per game were more than enough to seal his team a playoff spot. But even then, even as it seemed the youngster had already been dipped in excellence, little did we know he was just getting started. The 2021-22 season presented us with a different kind of beast, the kind with an insatiable taste for action, and it was evident in the way he devoured oppositions one after the other. By the end, he had put up an incredible 27.4 point average and a further 5.7 rebounds and 6.7 assists per game.
And it really comes down to that. This is a man that is universally recognized in NBA circles as being a highly, highly intelligent individual. It now warrants an investigation because you got suspended for 8 games, you've cost yourself over $600,000. What possible explanation could you give? And keep this in mind, this is self-inflicted.
He'd then go on to put up identical numbers in the next season to secure back-to-back NBA All-Star selections. No doubt these numbers were epic at the very least. But with Ja, you know you're getting more than just the stats. You know you're getting a well-rounded baller who hardly ever takes his foot off the pedal. Watching Ja Morant play often comes with a different kind of satisfaction. You just can't help but get your breath taken away. From his incredible court vision to his insane ability to pick out the most impossible passes, you just gotta admire what could only be a master craftsman at work. And then there's his scoring that often steals the headline. Tell you what, Ja is easily one of the top finishers from the paint, and that's not even up for debate. But for all his end products, it's his overall gameplay that makes him truly one of the most exciting players to watch. His ball handling, his dribbling, his intelligent movement, and the general aesthetics of his game. Nothing conventional about him at all. You could tell he's got that extra quality that could brighten up a gloomy day. However, even with all his exploits on the court, there's one aspect of his game that seemed unnatural, and it's the fact that he always seemed restricted by his emotions and general reactions. Of course, there's been a few times where he generally threatens to show that part of himself, but ultimately withdraws. Well, the rumors have it that he's been trying so hard to play by the books and maintain a perfect image for his endorsers like Nike and a series of other brands. Now, of course, these little restrictions may not seem like a big deal, but they may well be putting a lid on just how high Ja's ceiling can get, and I think we're beginning to see the light now. It's just over a month into the new NBA season, but the Memphis Grizzlies are already showing clear signs of a resurgence, and it's thanks to the return of one man, and you know who? He seems to have shaken off the disappointments of last season, and it's rubbing off quite well on the entire squad. They've started the season as they mean to go on, but beyond that, we seem to be getting a brand new version of Ja that we've barely seen before. Some are calling it a more honest version of himself, while others are tagging it a new monster mentality. Whatever it is though, it seems to be affording him much freedom to be and enjoy himself on the court. He's standing up for his team more, being more vocal, taking responsibility, and even playing the bully on more than a few occasions. We even saw his little shove on LeBron a fourth night ago after the legend's disrespectful gesture to the Memphis bench. He obviously looks the same old beast we're familiar with, but without the shackles that have always seemed to hold him back, and you could sense the air of freedom in the way he plays. Oh, and for the Memphis Grizzlies who are reaping all the benefits, it's not just the stuff of dreams. It's a wet dream of orgasmic proportions, and they can only applaud what in some sense has been a long time coming. Of course, they are not yet the best team in the conference, and they may still not be championship material yet, but you just know if their talisman Ja can stay fit, then they'll have the playoffs firmly in sight. The superstar is already averaging 20 points, 5 rebounds, and 9.1 assists in his 8 appearances this term. However, keeping him fit is looking easier said than done, as he's already been sidelined due to a minor hip injury. Of course, we can only watch and see how it all unfolds for the OG baller as the season progresses. But in the meantime, you can tell us what you think about the new version of Ja Morant in the comments below. And don't forget to smash that subscribe icon for more exciting videos about your favorite NBA stars.